Algebra 2, lesson 58, lead coefficients and more on completing the square. Alright, so we're just adding one more aspect to completing the square. Other than that, the problem is still the same. The aspect we're adding is the lead coefficient to this x squared term. So you see in practice A and B, they both have a lead coefficient of 3. And the extra step we have to add is to simply get rid of that coefficient. Before we can use our complete the square steps, we have to get rid of those lead coefficients. So starting in practice A, the way I'm going to get rid of 3 is I'm just going to divide everything by 3. And what that does is this cancels. This is going to reduce to -2, and then that's going to become 5/3, and then 0 over 3 is just going to remain 0. So I'll go ahead and rewrite this to make it a little bit neater. That changes the equation to x squared plus 5/3 x minus 2 equals 0. Now we have to conduct complete the square. So if you remember, we can't do complete the square if we have a whole number on this side of the equation. So we're going to add 2 to each side to make that whole number move. So this becomes 2 now. So now we've got x squared plus 5/3 x plus 2. And then to finish complete the square, actually I'll rewrite this to make it neater. 5/3 x. You remember that we're going to have to add a term to each side of the equation. To find that term, we take this middle number right here of the coefficient of the single x term. We're going to take that and we're going to divide it by 2. So 5 over 3 divided by 2, which you could think of as 2 over 1, and then we'll just invert and multiply, and so then that becomes 5 over 6. Now after we've divided it by 2, we then have to square that term. So 5 over 6 squared would become 25 over 36. Alright, and then this is the value that we're going to add to both of these numbers. So we add 25 over 36 to each side. From there we can factor this left side. And if you remember, the term that we're going to be adding here is always going to be the answer to this division by 2. So it's going to be adding 5/6 to each side. So it'll be x plus 5 over 6 on each side. And then 2 plus 25 over 36. Well, the best way to do that is just turn this into a fraction. So 2 in a fraction would become, let's see here, over 36. What's 2 times 36? I'm having a blank right now. 72. So 2 becomes 72 over 36. 72 plus 25 gives me 97. So that's going to equal 97 over 36. So now I've got a nice improper fraction for the other side. I'm going to rewrite this parenthesis as a single term squared. So that'll become x plus 5 over 6 squared. And then 97 over 36. Then to simplify, we take the square root of each side. That would just turn this left side into x plus 5 over 6. And then we do the square root of 97 over 36. Square root of 36 is really easy. That's just going to equal 6. Square root of 97, I think that might be a prime number. I'm going to leave it as is for now. I don't think, hold on. No, not divisible by 3. Not divisible by 6. Yeah, that 97 seems to be a prime number. So we'll go ahead and finish solving. And to do that, we just subtract 5 over 6 from each side. So that's going to be negative 5 over 6 plus square root of 97 over 6. And that's what x is going to equal. They might want you to simplify it. Let me double check the book really quick, so I can figure out what form they want you to simplify the number in. Nope. They're okay with that answer right there. And then one thing I forgot is the square root can be a positive or a negative. So the final answer is going to be negative 5 over 6 plus or minus the square root of 97 over 6. And that's your final answer. If you need to see that again, we'll run through it a little bit faster on problem B. So again, we have to get rid of this coefficient of 3, so we divide each term by 3. That'd be a 1, so that rewrites the problem as x squared minus 1/3 x, and then we're going to move that 1/3 to the other side. So then we'll leave our space, and that's going to equal positive 1/3. From there, we have to take this middle term divided by 2 and square it. So negative 1/3 divided by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. So that'll become negative 1/6, and then negative 1/6 squared is just going to become positive 1/36. So we add 1/36 to each side. This will factor into x minus 1/6 times x minus 1/6, because that middle term divided by 2 will always be what this number is. And then 1/3 plus 1/36, well, 3 goes into 36 12 times, so that would be like 12/36, plus 1/36, which gives us 13/36. From here, we rewrite the left side as one term squared. And then we take the square root of each side. That makes the left side x minus 1/6, and the left side becomes square root of 13/6, and that is a positive or a negative term. And then the very last step, we add 1/6 to each side. So our final answer is going to be x equals 1/6 plus or minus the square root of 13/6. Now, some of you may be wondering, why can't we just write this as 1 plus or minus square root of 13 all over 1/6? And the reason why is because of this radical. That square root of that prime number makes that an irrational number. And so what they're doing is they're grouping rational numbers and irrational numbers into separate parts of the answer, so you can clearly see what's going on. And that's all we have for today's lesson.